Good afternoon, and welcome to the Money Management Personality session. My name is Val Harris. I'm the Senior Associate Director at the HGSE Financial Aid Office. I am so happy to see so many of you here or that you're attending this important session. If you have any questions after the session is over or later on, please feel free to reach out to me at the Financial Aid Office. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ty and Terrence, and I'm going to turn my camera off. All right, take care. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, folks. Thanks so much, Val.
Thank you, Val. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are Ty and Terrence. We are the community engagement team here at the Harvard University Employees Credit Union. And we are here to bring you the presentation about improving money habits, money personality. There's a lot of great stuff in today's presentation. Before we jump into it, though, I do want to go over a couple Zoom housekeeping. You know how it is these days. I'm sure you're all very aware with Zoom at this point, but we are in webinar mode, which means that all of the participants are automatically muted, cameras are off, so have your lunch, feel free to make noise, it's all good. You can watch us and just take a break, do what you need to do. We are going to use the questions feature today, the Q&A feature within Zoom rather than chat. If you do have questions, we encourage any and all questions over the course of the presentation. We'll try to answer them as they come in or at the end of the presentation, but please don't type in the chat. Please use the QA feature. And if you'd like, we would like to test that out now just to make sure it's working. If you want to please put in there where you're joining us from. If you are a member or not of the credit union already, that would be great. We have members all over the country. And even though we are more located in the Boston area, you can make use of our services across the country. So it'd be great if you could put that in there now, but if not, that's all right. And we are recording today's presentation. We want to make sure that that's available to you to review later on. All of our presentations are actually on our YouTube for free. If you go to YouTube/myHUBCU, you're going to be able to find all of our content. We have hundreds of presentations on there about this topic, all sorts of other ones. So please take a look.
And please don't forget to take our survey too at the end of this presentation. We want to know how well we are doing and how we can best improve the value that we provide to you, our membership. So please take our survey.
We read each and every one of them.
Now, to jump into the meat and potatoes a little bit. Oh, actually, the credit union different.
Yes, so a credit union is a little bit different from a big bank, and not a lot of people necessarily know how that is different. So all members of the credit union are actually partial owners of the credit union. This means that and we are a not-for-profit organization, which means that the profit we do make as a financial institution, we give back to our members in all sorts of various ways. We waive a lot of fees or have services that usually would have fees and are actually free. We have better rates often. We have all sorts of financial education opportunities such as this, as well as lots of other different types of events and things like that. We're always trying to give back to our community first and our members at every opportunity that we can. And we are different from a big bank in that way.
I think sometimes, I personally think we're a little bit better than a big bank. I'm not saying poo-pooing big banks, but I like our community feel a bit more.
One of those opportunities that we provide is an online financial education platform called Thrive. It offers free financial counseling. So in these presentations, we do a lot of sort of generalization, kind of big concept type stuff. But if you want to figure out how these types of things can apply to your own individual financial situation, Thrive would be the next place to go, and GreenPath on the website. There's all sorts of resources on there, including blogs, workshops, sort of online little classes, workshops you can take. There's resources like calculators, rate calculators, if you want to know what type of calculations you can do for trying to find a good rate for different types of loans, things like that. Online education tools. It's all available on our Thrive website, huecu.org/thrive, which has been linked in the chat. So please do take a look at that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for putting in the chat. And now as you get into the meat and potatoes, we're going to go into the behavioral economic side of things and look at how psychology influences our financial decisions, such as our risk tolerance and saving and spending habits. I know that sounds a little abstract, a little bit foreign, a little bit more conceptual, but with each topic in each slide, we're going to do our best to bring it back home and ensure that we give the definition and some common things that we've just determined through our research. So as we begin our journey, let's start off with first orienting ourselves where we are, and that's knowing your money personality. So if you can, please take out your phone, maybe open up a new tab or a new browser, and take the money personality quiz at nerdwallet.com. I think Shannon has linked that in the chat. Thank you so much. And as you're doing that, we're going to go ahead and move right along. But this will help you kind of prepare you as we get into the journey. So now, let's jump right into the money personalities. The first one is money avoidant, money worship, money status, and money vigilant. Now, no matter where you are on this spectrum with your money personality, there is no right or wrong answer. And I want to communicate that again. There is no right or wrong answer. No matter where you are, it's completely okay. But this is good information and good knowledge that allows you to better incorporate different techniques as far as budgeting, maybe some pre-commitment techniques that will go along with your money personality, as opposed to something that could potentially fight up against it and you could lead you to some friction. Because here we want to present all the information possible and allow you to pick and choose, kind of cherry pick what works best for you. Now, to go into the specific money personalities, money avoidant. You might potentially be this person if you ignore your finances, or maybe kind of money comes in, money goes out, and you really just don't want anything to do with money and you'd rather someone else take care of it. Maybe you have a financial advisor, maybe you have someone in your family who's good at money, but whatever it is, you don't want to look at it. And that's completely okay. There's also money worship, where you believe money will solve all your problems. This is, again, true to its own degree, where depending on your circumstantial situation, maybe you are looking for shelter or different like that. Money can solve some problems, but will not solve all your problems. There's also money status, where you create your net worth to your self-worth. I definitely say I can identify with this money personality when I take the quiz. I think it's because I've been in banking for 10 years and I might be a little bit jaded because, you know what, when you're in banking for so long, money tends to kind of coincide with how you feel about yourself. It may not be true, but it is what it is. There's also money vigilant, where you are frugal and focused on savings. And in this way, if you are a bit too money vigilant, you could potentially miss out on some of the unexpected fruits of life. Maybe it's a pop-up concert, maybe having some fun, but no matter where you are on the spectrum, again, I'm gonna say this one more time, it's okay. And as long as you know where you are, you're able to pick and choose some of those techniques that I will mention later on in the presentation and work with it so that way it helps you better. Anything you want to add, Ty?
Yeah, so these can be combined in different ways too. For example, I'm kind of highest on money avoidance and money vigilance, which is a little contradictory in a lot of ways, but for me, it kind of like they can kind of take over in different times. Like I try to have like a simplistic budget style for myself because I like to not think about it all the time and I try to like avoid it. And I'm just like, the bills come out, the things happen. But then I am trying to do really frugal and focus on the savings. So having to like navigate the difference between those two can be quite tricky, but there's a lot of different ways to do it. And these aren't like bad things. These are just different ways that we kind of approach and think about our finances, and they can shift. You might not be all one thing. You can be different things, and you just being aware of it and taking it into account while you're trying to figure out how to best, budget and save and all that stuff is really going to be the first step towards taking control.
That's perfect. I love that. Awareness, being aware of your money personality. That's awesome. Now, let's talk about what influences your money personality. So not only are you aware of it, let's talk about, for example, some values. And this is your family values, maybe it's your own values that you have for yourself that could potentially be like, you know what, I want to be considered a person that donates to charity. That's a big value to me. That's going to influence my personality, where I'm going to set aside maybe some savings and or some money that will automatically donate to charities that align with my values. And again, not right or wrong, but something to be mindful of. There's also advertising, for example, where Amazon, Google, and honestly, commercials nowadays, TikToks, influencers, it seems like every organization out there is trying to get your money from you in some way, shape, or form. And if it feels that way, it's because it's true. We are a business and businesses are always looking to make profits, but it's your job as a consumer to be wary, to be savvy of that, and to be aware of what tactics could be used to get you to spend your money. There's also social factors, for example, where For if you are out with a group of friends, maybe you're peer pressured to participate and kind of have the same quality of life as your peers, but you may not be making that same amount of money. It could be a pressure to say, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna spend the same, I'm gonna drink the same, or do the same, so to fit in. But you also want to be mindful of what your budget does allow you to do, and you don't want to overspend to keep up appearances, and then you don't have enough money to, let's say, pay rent or pay other expenses that are a bit more important. Anything on some concept, Ty?
Yeah, so money can mean different things to you in terms of like how much you spend on different things, in terms of like your hobbies and things that you feel like are really important to your passions. Like if you're a reader or you have like a hobby or a creative, like art like sort of thing where you know you have to spend money to get a lot of the materials or the things you need, and having that feel like a sense of self for you and something that you use to do self-expression or like, you know, put creativity out into the world, and having that be so important to you that you say, oh, like the money of it doesn't matter, I need this to happen, and not kind of ignoring it in that way or being money avoidant about it in that way can lead to some complications. And so it's good to just really understand like what does mean the most to you in terms of how you spend your money and making sure that you have control of that.
Perfect. Now, how to maximize your money personality. As I mentioned, we're going to get into a bit more conceptual topics, but we're going to always relate them back to real world examples, so that way it feels tangible, accessible, and you can quickly pick it up and incorporate it into your daily habits. As we get into that, I'd like to ask our participants to define your financial goals, whether it is on a piece of paper or a notebook that you have right in front of you, maybe in the Q&A feature, but just write down some financial goals. Let's give everybody 30 seconds max, and we'll pick it up from there. While we're doing that, I'm actually going to talk about some of my financial goals with Ty.
Yeah.
Let's see. So one of my financial goals is actually I want to move into the Cambridge area.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's tricky.
It is. It's costly to move into the city from the South Shore. I'm currently saving money right now, but I need to like save $6,000 to $7,000 for moving expenses, relocating and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's quite the chunk of money.
I think Boston is like the 4th most expensive city in the country right now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Definitely feels like it.
I don't know if it's 4th, but it's definitely in the top 10,
Top 10.
maybe even. So, yeah. My biggest financial goal right now is I'm planning and preparing for a wedding. So
Yes.
I just got engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that is a big one that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a bit here. But yeah, that's a big one. So trying to deal with that and all this stuff it's quite a tricky challenge. But
Yes,
you know,
it is.
you just got to apply yourself. Figure it out.
Thankfully, we're both communication specialists who
That's right.
work here, who know this,
Yes, we talk
and
about
know
these
about
things,
GreenPath.
so I better know how to do it.
So now that we have our goals, now that we have our money personalities, let's talk about improving some of the behaviors. Now, first up, pre-commitment. And textbook definition is to commit in advance to a particular course of action. Now, before we get into how to implement, I'm actually going to kind of break away for a little bit, have a little story for pre-commitment. For this, I like to honestly, what happens is it'll be Monday morning or Tuesday, I'm either driving into work or, conversating with Savannah, my partner, and she'll mention something about plans for the weekend. And I'll always say, yes, this sounds great, sounds phenomenal. And then the week goes on, Thursday comes, Friday comes, I'm looking forward to a nice, relaxing, busy weekend. Not realizing I've pre-committed to have plans on the weekend. And 9 times out of 10, honestly, I'm lying, 10 times out of 10, I am going with the plan that I pre-committed to, for better or worse. And honestly, it's a skill. Because I also use pre-commitment in my daily tasks when it comes to scheduling Outlook events. And I look into productivity because I will often have a long list of tasks and not feel like I can get through all of them. But when I time block out, for example, I'm going to work on what we like to call write projects. So preparing for a Zoom meeting, for example, I'll put on my calendar, I'll get a notification on my watch and say, oh, it's time for me to work on this. And that helps me shift gears in a little bit. So that way I've pre-committed this time block, let's say from 11 to 12 to work on this specific task. And now that's all I'm doing.
And the cash envelope method, which is where you pre-commit funds available to you, so you get your paycheck and then you break down the funds for the various bills and things that you have. The envelope method used to be popular, where you would put cash in various envelopes and you break it all down for your different things. I use a more modern day version of this, where I have different bank accounts, like multiple checking accounts on my online banking, and I label them like bills, rent, things like that. And then when my paycheck comes in, I split it all up into the various things, and then I have automatic payments and stuff that comes out of there. So I'm pre-committing the funds, taking it away, and so I know that the chunk I have left over is the chunk I have for entertainment, for other things, all of my needs, bills taken care of already. And so taking that stuff away and putting it away so I don't even see it, I don't even think that I can spend it, is a great way to make sure that you know exactly how much you need to commit to different things.
And one more way to implement this, if you don't want to use the cash envelope method, or like one of those methods, is setting up some automatic savings, where your direct deposit can fund a savings account. As soon as you get paid, that account gets paid, and you don't have to worry about transferring money after it's hit your main checking account. Next, goal gradients, breaking down a goal into smaller goals. And I think, Ty, you have a perfect example of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I'm planning for a wedding, which is a big goal, but there are a lot of little pieces to that, right? So yeah. So for example, there's the whole wedding, the cost of it, all of the expenses, but we need to, in order to not go crazy, also break it down into like little more digestible things. So for example, we've secured our venue, we secured the DJ, we secured our photographer. These are all like pieces of that big goal. And so like we had, a price budget in mind, all of these things, and trying to, you see this big number when it's a wedding, this is the cost. And then that's a lot to either try to plan for, save for, all that stuff. And being able to break it down is like, okay, here's different ways we can save money. If we, look at our options for our photographer, our DJ, things like that, our flowers, things like that, we can break it down in terms of like, okay, how can I save in different areas and things like that. So with finances, this can be done by you find your big goal, for example, the wedding or whatever it is, whatever you're saving for, and then breaking it down into, okay, how much can I save annually? And then take that and be, okay, so if I'm trying to do that much annually, for example, if my goal is 10,000, I want to save $3,000 a year. My monthly goal might be then $250. If I can save $250 a month, break it down. That will build you up into that thing. And so breaking it down will help you get a clear sense of, wait a minute, this is more manageable. I can do this monthly amount rather than being like 10,000. I don't have that much time to figure all that out. Breaking it down will always help you feel better about the total of how much it is, how you can start doing it on a month, on a day, on a week, whatever it is. And if you have a goal like a wedding, it's a little bit of both, where you have to break it down into different pieces of that total, and then how do you save for those different pieces? So it's great.
So that's an amazing example and a real life practical example of goal gradients to breaking them down. But I also want to communicate one thing that you touched on earlier. One, options, which we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
And two, it's okay if you do not always hit your monthly goal.
Yes.
If you set the goal of $250 or $100, whatever, what have you, even if you don't hit that goal every single month, the progress that you make of hitting that goal in 1 month, maybe again in March, slow progress is significantly better than no progress. Starting is the most difficult step. Once you get that first step in, it's easy to keep it going. And you'll be planning a wedding at one point.
Yeah, even if you're taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, you're still making progress. You're still moving forward. So
next up, planning fallacy. Underestimating how long it will take you to complete a task. So one example that I have for this is actually bring it back to productivity, where I sometimes will say yes to projects that I feel like I can complete within 1 to 2 hours. Well, it's not too bad. And then I realize, oh, this is gonna take me about 6 or 7 hours. This is a much bigger piece of pie than I decided to chew right now. And you know what? It happens to me sometimes. It happens with finances, and not allocating enough time to complete a task, or underestimating, for example, planning a wedding. You could potentially lead to pitfalls that you weren't prepared for. And the best way to prevent this, to improve this habit, is actually pre-committing in a way. So sometimes they can work, these behavioral economic theories can work together to help you break out of a bad habit, if planning fallacy is one of your habits you're looking to break. One more example is credit card balance transfer tips, where if you sign up for a new credit card and it comes with the ability to transfer over the balance from an existing credit card at a lower interest rate or a 0% introductory rate, this is where it could potentially be a pitfall where, for example, if I have $5,000 on card A, I'm transferring it over to card B, and card B has 0% interest, but only for 12 months, I might say, you know what, I can transfer that 5,000 over, I can pay it off, it'll be fine, but not knowing that life could happen along the way. And I may not always be able to make my monthly payments the way I think I could, or I may not be able to make it in full. And all of a sudden, that 12 months has elapsed. And now I could potentially be in more debt from card A and card B and have double the interest working against me. So it's something that you want to be mindful of, and something that you want to set up little techniques and a system for, so that way you are able to be mindful with those payments and not get into additional debt. Anything for pen fallacy?
No, I think you got it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Decision paralysis. Not making a decision or making the easiest decision when confronted with too many options. Now, I have a story for this, and you know what? You can jump in a little bit later.
Yeah, sounds good.
So with decision paralysis, I normally find this happens when I'm out to eat with friends.
Yes.
We are always going out and having a good time, and the time comes where we get hungry because we're people, we need to eat. But we all are very diverse, very different individuals, and we like different foods. And sometimes when we all ask each other, hey, what do you want to eat? And everyone's like, I don't know, because nobody wants to rock the boat, or y'all want to be able to enjoy food together. And sometimes it leads to us not actually deciding on a place to eat for a good maybe 20, 30 minutes to an hour. And now we are very hungry. We are a little bit hangry, and we really want to get food. And sometimes you go with a safe option of maybe it's El Jefe's, or it's Mexican, or just whatever is quick and cheap. But it's not always the best case scenario when it comes to making the decisions, especially financial decisions. You want to have some level of security and freedom of choice to make the proper decisions that work for your situation. Anything?
Yes, you really just want to make sure that you are not just going with whatever seems to be the easiest thing or the thing just available right in front of you, but that you are taking your time to do your research, to figure out what all of your options are, and figuring out which one's going to best apply to exactly what you're trying to save for in terms of like opening up an account or things like that. There are a lot of different ways, and I know that can be overwhelming, but just, meet with a banker, meet with whoever it is if you're trying to figure out what type of account to open or what type of product to do. Do some research to make sure that you are not just doing the easiest thing, the thing that's right in front of you. You never know what could be a little bit more helpful. But if there's too many things, then just break it down to like what's most important to you between like security, freedom of choice, present, future, that kind of thing. And just make sure that you're picking the thing that's going to best suit your needs.
Right, perfect. Next up is tunneling. This is focusing only on the emergency/need at hand. Let me see. What was my example for tunneling?
Yeah, talking about getting a new car.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much, Ty.
Yeah, no
That's why we keep them here. So for an example for this is buying a new car, where sometimes when you are in the market for a car, whether it's your first car, maybe it's a new car, or you're relocating, you're traveling to work and you need a car sooner than you thought you did. And sometimes you might just only focus on the purchase of that vehicle and not everything else that's attached to it. If you want to look at it in an example of food and dinner plate, the car might be the turkey, and insurance, maintenance, the cost of gas, and honestly, tires or anything else, and possible emergencies are the sides. And most often than not, we only focus on the one thing we need at hand, which is I need to buy the car, the monthly payment, the interest and that, but there's so many other things at play. And the best way to counteract and just kind of get tunneled into only focusing on that car is, one, to know your timeline, branch it out, fully understand how much time you have to complete the purchase, whatever the emergency is, and compare different options. There's multiple different cars out there, from EVs to trucks, sedans, big, small, Japanese imports. I'm a car guy. There's a lot. There's a lot. And comparing your options and sitting down with hopefully a not not emotional, but a level mind, so that way you can compare apples to apples, can allow you to see things that you wouldn't see before, and also talk to someone. You do not underestimate the power of word of mouth and maybe talking to a mentor and or the credit union or GreenPath to say, hey, this is my situation. These are my options. What would you do? And getting feedback and advice only makes you that much more richer as an individual when it comes to making decisions.
Yeah, we actually just bought a new car recently and,
Yes.
you know, because we needed one. But rather than just focusing on, oh, I need a car, go get a car done. You know, it's good to talk to people, talk to family about like different tips of buying new, buying used. We have a whole auto finance presentation that there's more information about that.
Plug, I heard that.
Yeah, making sure you understand entirely what you're signing up for when you're dealing with whatever type of emergency it is. You know, emergencies happen. We're going to need funds and stuff to be able to deal with them. But just make sure you know what you're signing up for, what you're getting into, and the full cost and timeline of that emergency. It's really important.
Perfect. Now, mental accounting. This is actually pretty appropriate, especially for the time of year that's happening right now. Tax time. And this is treating money differently depending on source and destination. So about taxes, where this is tax refund time. Not everybody gets a refund, but some people do get a refund. And sometimes you treat that money a little bit differently, like it's quote unquote free money.
I do that.
It's not free money. It's okay. And sometimes you might blow it or you do something different with it, but no, that's 100%. That's your money that you gave to the government for free, and it was 100% yours. It's due to you, and you should treat it as if it's regular income coming in, as it would be from your regular jobs coming in and whatnot. You want to portion it out so that way a certain portion feeds different accounts, feeds your bills and whatnot, and not just say, you know what, I got back $3,000. I deserve a new TV. I'm getting a new TV. Unless that's exactly what fits in your budget, that's you. But treat the money, no matter what source it comes from, the same in terms of your budget, what works best for you, and your money personality.
That's right.
Now, scarcity. This is being motivated to buy because of shortage. This honestly is a big tactic on online retailers where they are constantly showing little ads and pop-ups saying buy now and there's only 2 left. Or for example, BOGOs, buy one, get one, where it may seem like you're getting a discount. You may seem like you're getting a deal because you're purchasing 2 items for less than you would if you bought them individually. But in reality, you spent more than you originally were planning to. If you were going to go in for 1 pair of shoes or 1 item, and now you leave with 2, and it seems like, oh, I saved some money. You actually didn't.
Yeah, if you see a limited time sale for 50% off and it's on an item you wouldn't have necessarily bought it at full price, you're not really saving 50% if you wouldn't have bought the item in the first place. You're actually spending 50% more than you would have. So, you know, obviously sales are great, but make sure that you're not just motivated because you're like, oh, I need this thing because now is the time. It's scarce. This sale's not going to last. Just make sure that when you're doing these types of things, you think about how it could affect you, how it affects your spending. You are spending more, even if you're getting it for less. And so just making sure that you're not only motivated due to the scarcity of that thing, and that if you wouldn't necessarily buy the product at full price, you probably don't need it that much, that the savings you would sort of get for that is something that is actually going to save you. So
actually, as you're mentioning that, I had a great idea about this. The Stanley Cups, that whole fad that's going on right now with Stanley Cups, and how it's scarce to get the big, beautiful pink, 40-ounce cup. How many cups do you really own that you're going out there spending and whatnot?
So many.
It's all about supply and demand, and that's what it is. As long as you're able to wait, kind of take a deep breath, and maybe look at what you have in your house, you may not need the extra cup that's already in the cabinet. I say it because I have a lot of cups in my cabinet.
Yeah. I think my fiance has 20 different thermos water bottles, and
Yes.
we don't need more.
Now, what the heck effect? Now, we've talked a lot about different money personalities and different types of behavioral economics. But what if you do all of this, you try your best to incorporate all the different techniques, and nothing works and you lose motivation due to prior behavior. That's honestly okay.
It's okay. We're humans.
We're humans. And when you if at first you don't succeed, try again. And that is true for a lot of things in life. It's also true for breaking and incorporating new habits. And it's also true for money too. You pick up, you learn from your mistakes, and you keep going.
I really like to quote Star Trek on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a little bit of a fun, nerdy pop culture type of guy. And in Star Trek, there's a great quote from Captain Jean-Luc Picard, which is, "It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life." So even with finances, it's possible that you're doing all the right stuff. You're budgeting money, you're trying to save money, a certain amount, and all these things. But then like something in life happens, an unexpected emergency, whatever it could be, or even just like, you know, personally, somehow you end up spending more than you thought. It happens to everybody. That is not a failure. You're not failing. As long as you're maintaining an idea of things you can do to try to improve your habits, try to improve your spending, try to improve your savings, and you're being cognizant of it, aware of it, and trying to factor it in, however long it takes. As long as you're working on it, you're not losing. You're making good steps. You're on the path to better financial wellness. You're on the path to better savings, on the path to harnessing your money personality to figure out the best way that is going to work for you in the future. And there's so many resources available to you. Don't try to feel like you're failing, even if you mess up one time or something happens. You're moving in the right direction, and you gotta hold on to that.
Even if you mess up 2 times,
Yeah.
or 3 times,
Yeah.
maybe even 4 times,
Absolutely.
keep it going.
Just keep it going. Be moving in the right direction, even if it's slow. You're making progress.
Keep moving forward. Failure is a part of success.
Mhm.
If you couldn't tell, Ty and Terrence, we believe in you. No matter who you are out there,
Absolutely.
we believe in you.
Absolutely.
We got support.
Yeah.
Now, next steps. Know your money personality, identify examples you can improve on, and choose one behavior to work on the next 7 days. I would love to challenge the chat and our audience to let us know in the Q&A, what did you learn about during this presentation that you feel like you can take away, any examples that you could improve on, and please let us know that we did a good job. Let us know that we were here, we were engaging. Tell us something. Let us know how you feel about what's going on.
Yeah, take that financial goal you wrote down and pick one thing you feel like you can work on from today's presentation. It all starts with one step. So try to take one thing. Maybe you figured out a little bit of something that you can use with your money personality, one of these steps to try to help improve on that thing, and just take one step at a time. Choose one behavior to work on for the next week, whether that's saving a little bit more, whether that's trying to tunnel vision a little bit less, whatever it is towards your goal, and just try to work on that one thing for 7 days and see where you end up. And then just take that and keep snowballing it, one thing again, and just take, it all starts with one step, you know what I mean?
And you know what? I'll talk about what I've learned in this presentation. And again, I love that little quote that you have. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness, that is life. I heard that from the first time I met you, and I keep it with me to this day. And also one more thing too, that you know, one of your isms
Absolutely.
is spend the most money when you spend the most time, because that way you really feel it. I've 100% adopted it into my life, and I thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, real quick, spend the most money where you spend the most time is one of the values I have when it comes to my finances, which is wherever I'm going to spend a lot of my life, whether that's in my bed, whether that's on my phone, whether that's playing games, whatever I like to do, that's where I'm going to choose to focus more of my spending, more of my financial savings. Have a nice bed. You spend a third of your life asleep. Make sure it's comfortable. Make sure it's good. That will vastly improve your life. Have a nice phone if you use your phone a lot. Make sure it can do the things you want it to do. I mean, everybody has different finances available to them, but I find personally for me, if I'm spending money to get nice versions of the things that I spend most of my time doing, it really has a huge outlook on my attitude, my personality, all of these things. And I really think it works for some people. So something you can take away.
Perfect. All right. Now I think that brings us to GreenPath. So as we talked a lot about different ways and whatnot, this presentation was actually created with some of the information found on GreenPath's website. And GreenPath is a phenomenal partner of HGSE. If you want to learn more, visit huecu.org/GreenPath, and you will be able to get access to their budgeting, free financial counseling, some of their worksheets. And honestly, I really cannot say enough about GreenPath. They also offer debt management counseling and housing and or foreclosure counseling as well. So any financial issues where you feel like things are tough and you just want to pick up the phone and call somebody, GreenPath are the people to call.
Yeah, so you watch this presentation and you're like, wow, Terrence, this is all great. You've talked about these concepts, but how do I apply it to my own personal life, my own personal situation? We're going to tell you, just go to GreenPath. Free individual financial counseling through the credit union. They will be able to talk about your current situation and how to apply these concepts. Oh, it's great.
Perfect. Also, please take our survey. Let us know how we did. That's huecu.org/survey. Please, we read all the comments, as I mentioned earlier. And whenever we've got feedback and says, hey, let's go into more detail on a specific topic, we immediately take that, we incorporate it in, and we revamp our presentations to be that much more valuable to your membership.
Absolutely.
And full disclaimer, do not sue us. This is only for educational purposes, and we talk about a lot of the concepts in here for just at a conceptual level. But if you do have any questions or would like to speak to a specific financial advisor, you can visit our website at huecu.org and make an appointment with our financial advisor, Raj, who is phenomenal, super friendly, and can point you in the right direction and or answer your questions. So you have two resources. You have GreenPath and you have Raj.
All right, so let's keep in touch. We have all sorts of social handles and things. If you guys want to reach out to us or have ideas for presentations, whatever we can do, we're always checking all of our comments, all the social handles and all that stuff, whether that's through the survey or through our email, website, LinkedIn, Twitter, all those types of things. We're always looking to try to improve and talk to our community. So,
X now.
X, yes, that's right.
Formerly
Twitter.
Yeah.
So we do have about 9 to 10 minutes left here. So if there are any questions you guys have for us, please do feel free to use that Q&A feature. We would be happy to kind of talk to or answer any sort of questions. But if not, we have all sorts of other presentations available on the YouTube, like we said, and you'll be able to watch this presentation as well again, because it'll be put up there, and I believe there'll also be an email sent out. So
awesome. I don't see any Q&A questions coming in just yet.
So
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
All right.
See you in the next one.
Have a great day.